Good morning, respected Mr. C.S. Bimal Jain, founder, A to Z Tax Corp LLP, Mr. C.S. Sanjay Malhotra, practicing company secretary, indirect tax matters, my colleague in the council, Mr. Dwarka Nath, and dear council member, ICSI, professional students, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are celebrating the 7th year of the GST. GST is just 7 years old. And good morning to you and happy GST Day to all of you. On behalf of ICSI, it is my privilege to welcome you all to this webinar organized to celebrate the 7th anniversary of the introduction of the GST. We are thankful to the esteemed panelists for sparing their valuable time from their busy schedule to be with us and share their expertise and thoughts on the subject with all the participants today. Well, friends, you all know on 1st July 2017, GST was formally introduced. It created history. It has created history, no doubt about that. GST has integrated India into a single common market by breaking barriers to the interstate trade and commerce. By eliminating the cascading of taxes and reducing transaction costs, it has enhanced the ease of doing business. That's why it's a very key component to the Amrit Kaal in achieving the vision of Viksit Bharat, the government of India. There has been a lot of policy changes as well. I mean, I think if I don't want to share much on terms of the volume, I think GST has grown from just little over 7 lakh to 2.1 lakh crore, 7.19 crore to 2.10 crore in the month of April 2024. That's the kind of vast. And I think while GST is getting covered all across the country and the implementation is also becoming sterner, we find that it is ultimately benefiting the public at large. It is our endeavor, in fact, from ICSI, it is our endeavor to perfect the role of GST. As a partner, ICSI has launched many initiatives with respect to GST, like GST newsletter, GST educational series, GST corner under chartered secretary, webinar and GST, etc. Preparation of representation, suggestion and views of the regulators to seek suitable recognition from the matter for the members under the GST. We also have a certificate course on GST. In my view, quite a few of our members are handholding the entrepreneurs, and in the process, they are involving themselves as far as for GST as well. Especially in the Tier 2, Tier 3, Tier 4 cities, there is a lot of scope for the members, and quite a few of our members are actively associated with the concept of GST in terms of helping the entrepreneurs to get themselves registered for GST and doing the filing of the returns, etc., to be done by them. Well, I don't want to take much more of your time. We have experts, panelists here with us who have been involved day in and day out as far as in terms of GST and indirect taxes and GST is concerned. And I also have my colleague in the council, Mr. Dwarka Nath, who would be moderating the session. Over to all of you. Thank you very much for this opportunity, sir. Thank you. Wishing you all the best.
Thank you, President, for your opening remarks. Good morning to all of you once again, and welcome you all to the webinar on GST. GST has been introduced 7 years back. We are celebrating today, that is 1st July 2024. Since introduction of GST in the year 2017, GST has been a cornerstone of economic policy aiming to unify India into a common market, simplify compliance and boost economic growth. It has been considered as a key enabler for the development of Viksit Bharat, that is developed India, due to several reasons. To talk on the subject, we have two eminent speakers. One is Mr. C.S. Bimal Jain. Welcome you, sir, to this webinar. We do have C.S. Sanjay Malhotra. Before I request Bimal Jain to take over, I wish to slightly talk about the topic, please. When I said several reasons, one is uniform tax structure. GST has replaced multiple indirect taxes with a single tax structure, simplifying compliance and reducing tax evasion. This uniformity fosters a transparent and efficient tax regime, which is essential for economic development. The reason two, promotion of ease of doing business by streamlining tax procedure and reducing compliance burdens for business. GST has improved the business environment. This encourages entrepreneurship and investment, crucial for development of industries and services. Apart from that, the GST, the reasons for GST being introduced is boost to manufacturing and export, integrated market, then increase government revenue, consumer benefits, digital transformation, transparency, and accountability. In conclusion, GST plays a pivotal role in shaping Viksit Bharat by fostering economic growth, promoting industrial development, enhancing competitiveness, and ensuring inclusive development through a simplified and unified tax regime. With this brief introduction, I take this opportunity to introduce the speakers, please. CS Bimal Jain is a fellow member of ICSI and ICAI and a law graduate. Presently, he is the managing director of A to Z Tax Corp LLP. He was also the chairman of Indirect Tax Committee of PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry and is a member of various other committees. He is a qualified SAP FIICO consultant and has more than 23 years of experience in indirect taxation and specializes in all aspects of GST, excise, service tax, value added tax, central sales tax, customs, foreign trade policy, special economic zone, export oriented unit, etc. He is author book titled GST Law and Commentary with analysis and Bimal Jain. I also take this opportunity to introduce CS Sanjay Malhotra ji. CS Sanjay Malhotra is a fellow member of the ICSI and also possesses qualification as CFA, Cost and Management Accountant, MBA Finance, MCOM Gold Medalist, and an alumni of ISP. He possesses overall experience of 32 years. Out of that, 20 years in the industry at president level and the past 13 years into practice. In core areas, indirect taxation, then GST, central excise, service tax, customs, VAT, foreign trade policy, exports, imports, and other allied laws, and supply chain management. He is a faculty member of for NACIN at national level for undertaking GST sessions for central as well as state GST offices and AG audit officers. He has undertaken more than 500 sessions on GST in the past 6.5 years across corporates, public sector units, etc. He has co-authored book Handbook on GST, audited by tax authorities. I once again welcome all the participants and the speakers to this webinar and key GST key enabler for Viksit Bharat. Over to CS Bimal Jain, please.
At the outset, let me thank respected President and moderator for the day, CS Dwarkanam, my co-speaker, CS Sanjay Malhotra ji, distinguished professional colleagues, good morning to all of you. We all are celebrating 7th year's anniversary of GST. We all know GST got introduced on July 1, 2017. We are keeping vision of looking Viksit Bharat by 2047. We are heading for. Indeed, we are heading for. We are 5th largest economy. And from GST perspective, you will agree with me, we started only with 68 lakh registered person in 2017. But now we are 1.4 crore registered person. Initially, we were having average collection of 90,000 crore rupees per month, but now we are heading towards 2 lakh crore rupees per month. Look at the growth of GST in last 7 years. Our economy is the fastest growing economy, 7%, which is endorsed by World Bank also, across all countries in the world. So looking at the vision and dream of our Honorable Prime Minister, Viksit Bharat, yes, we are heading for. How GST can contribute? Yes, we all are talking about GST law is a unified law. And I must say it is one law, one tax, one market, common market, and applicable from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. Irrespective of any language, pre-GST we have seen we were divided in state-specific VAT provision, in their own language, in their own procedure. But now it is unified law, pan-India, Kashmir to Kanyakumari. Whatever applicable in Delhi, applicable in Kerala, applicable in Tamil Nadu, and big opportunity for all CS professionals. And CS numbers, which I said, is showing where we are heading for. So GST is becoming important, integral part of our professional activities. Having said that, GST has done away multiplicity of taxes, double taxation, cascading of taxes, and this is what the resultant outcome. And it is biggest indirect tax reform since independence. So these are the feature of GST, which we have seen last 7 years, and government is committed. GST Council, where center and state both sitting together, they are committed to ensure ease of business and making compliances easier day by day. The recent example, 53rd GST Council meeting, which held on 22nd June 2024, we have seen number of recommendations towards ease of business, to reduce litigation, and many clarification. So the point and subject matter which has been given to me, I'm going to discuss some of the recent amendment helping to the taxpayer. Taxpayer are getting advantage. And I'm picking up number of recent amendment which is being recommended in 53rd GST Council meeting. So I'm going one by one, and I'm sure my participants, audience must be taking down those pointers, and these are important pointers. Before I start, I must say, we as a torchbearer of legal and secretarial compliances, as a company secretary, it is our earnest responsibility and duty, I must say, when we are signing as a company secretary. The signature of company secretary on the balance sheet itself shows our importance, our credential in this market. So any company having signature of company secretary, you can understand what kind of responsibility, duties, and obligation we carry on our soldier. You can always say with the GST, you may be or you may not be doing GST in your regular practice, but let me tell you, can you say that any legal and secretarial compliances report or signing balance sheet is possible without having knowledge of GST? To my mind, no way. And we can't. See, this is the opportunity which is growing faster. So it's an opportunity for all of us together being professional to grab immediately for the professional growth and development. GST, as I said, from 90,000 crore rupees per month, even government has reached to 2 lakh crore rupees per month, and they're heading for. So look at the opportunity, and GST become part and parcel of cost and sell price. So your decision is very important. Your managerial decision is very important. So input tax credit, which is GST on your purchase, credit is available or not available. If credit is not available, it becomes cost, and thereby we are not having that much profitability. GST chargeability on outward supply, again important. What rate applicable? What is the classification? Whether the company is discharging GST liability or not. when we are signing balance sheet or giving any certificate, legal and secretarial, can we say without GST we can do that? To my mind, it is not. So we have to really grasp this opportunity, get ourselves prepared. And I can tell you, we are no less than any professional. We are much ahead and far ahead to give our endorsement, that signature, credential signature of company secretary. So let's start and put together. And I always say together we will make difference. Create the difference that we are the unique profession and we can take any challenge which is coming to our way. So this was my opening remarks on 7th year's anniversary of GST. Let me start my topic today. Recent amendment in GST. I'm first picking up time limit to avail credit in GST. As a taxpayer, we are availing credit in GSTR 3B. We all are aware of. But there is time limit. As per section 16, subsection 4 of CGST Act. What is the time limit? Earliest of due date. Due date of furnishing return under section 39 of CGST Act for the month of September following the end of relevant financial year, or due date of furnishing annual return, whichever is earlier. This was the provision existing until 30th September 2022. From 1st October 2022, they have amended. Now it is 30th November following the end of relevant financial year or due date of furnishing annual return, whichever is earlier. But what happened? In initial years of GST, when GST was in nascent stage, 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20, 2021, we may have missed availing credit in GSTR 3B within the time limit as prescribed. So September following the end of relevant financial year for 3B. So it is 20th October following the end of relevant financial year. We may have missed, but now this is the unique opportunity for all of us together. And it is recommendation of 53rd GST Council meeting. If you have missed the time limit, listen very carefully. It is opening up. We have filed the SLP in the Supreme Court only on this time limit. Now, all these SLP going to be resolved only because of this recommendation. And this is going to be part of section 16, subsection 4, which will come in the union budget and expected to be on 22nd or 23rd July. Official information is not yet out, but this is going to be part of Finance Bill 24 and then amending the CGST Act. So what is the change? For the financial year 17-18, and I'm sure you must be taking down for your advantage, for your professional acumen, and for informing to your client who missed the deadline and their credit is being denied. They might have got the so-called notice. So you can help them out for 17-18, 18-19, 19-20, and 20-21 for all 4 financial year. Now the due date for availing credit would be 30th November 21. 30th November 21. So meaning thereby for 17-18, your due date would be 30th November 21. Only condition, you must have availed credit in your GSTR 3B. So this is the great advantage coming to all of us together. Coming to the second point, important one. And here, I would like to draw the reverse charge. As a director and director providing services to the company in the capacity of director, not as a whole-time director, not as an employment, not as an employee. So, director providing services to the company is under reverse charge method. Company need to pay GST under reverse charge by notification number 13/2017. So first of all, you need to check whether any director to whom you are paying meeting fees or some kind of consideration, and that is not under employment contract. and you are deducting income tax TDS as a professional or technical services under section 194J of IT Act. If TDS is being deducted as salary, then this RCM is not applicable. RCM is applicable only when director giving services in the capacity of director and meeting fees and some kind of other consideration which has been given in the capacity of director to the company. Company being recipient need to pay GST and a reverse charge. But I'm taking one example for all of you so that you can see the important advantage. Let's say for 1920, you were supposed to pay reverse charge as a company. You did not pay. You come to know today in 24-25 that reverse charge liability was there, but you have not paid the reverse charge liability. Question will come, can you pay reverse charge now? First, and if you can pay now, can you avail credit? And that too pertaining to 1920. So this is important from two perspectives. So now there is recommendation and there is circular. And circular number is 211 dated 26 June 2024. So you must take this advantage for the past financial year. So I have only picked up the director, but there may be other notified goods or services subject to reverse charge. So I'm not only saying for the director, I only picked up relevant example in our, legal and secretarial, but any notified goods or services subject to reverse charge wherein recipient need to pay GST liability. So notified goods falling under notification number 4/2017. Notified services falling under notification number 13/2017 under section 9 subsection 3 of CGST Act. And under section 9 subsection 4, when you procure from unregistered supplier, that is being done away from 13th of October 2017 and now made applicable only from 1st April 2019 for real estate sector. When you are not procuring specified percentage from that registered supplier. So that is what the provision all about. So reverse charge liability of past financial year, can you pay now? And here question is, if it is being procured from unregistered supplier, so director is not registered, he is unregistered. Being company, you are registered in GST and you need to pay GST of 1920. Can you pay now? Look at the answer which I'm giving to all of you. Yes, you can pay now. Can you avail credit? Of course you can avail credit. Of 1920, you can avail credit. Even though section 16 subsection 4 has got time limit. But that is what the recommendation of 53rd GST Council meeting read with the circular number 211 dated 26 June 2024. So you must take. So how come it is possible for procurement of notified goods or services, including director example, which I have taken from unregistered supplier? Quite obvious, he will not raise any tax invoice in GST. So being recipient, you will raise invoice to yourself, which is called self-invoice. Under section 31, subsection 3, clause F, you will raise the self-invoice to yourself. When you will raise? Today's date, 1st July 2024, you will raise in today's date of 1920. And this would be eligible document for you. And when you pay reverse charge liability in terms of Rule 36 sub Rule 1 clause B, you will avail credit in 24-25 of 1920. Only thing you should keep to your mind, which is RCM, it was due in 1920, right? You're paying today, availing credit today on the basis of self-invoice. But POT, time of supply, must have arisen in 1920. And as per section 13, subsection 3 of CGST Act, POT, time of supply, would be either date of payment by the recipient or date following the end of 60 days. So 61st day become the time of supply. You should have paid by your RCM liability on 61st day, which you are paying now. So interest going to be leviable, and interest rate would be 18% per annum. And RCM liability always paid in cash. You can't use GST credit. And even interest need to be paid in cash. So RCM credit of 1920 paid in 24-25 on raising self-invoice credit is available, but subject to interest. And interest is a cost to the company, but advantage, great advantage. You can go back and check your past financial year transactions. Point number 2. Point number 3 on 16.4. In GST regime, we have seen a lot many dealers' registration get cancelled for number of reasons. Either he is not continuously filing GST return, thereby department is cancelling the GST registration, or any other reason also, non-existent you have seen, or you have seen that they are finding some kind of, fake registration taken by the supplier, lot many factors. But wherever any cancellation of registration is being done, quite obvious that after cancellation, you will not be able to file your 3B, and then you will not be able to avail credit, and that too within time limit. So maybe a challenge, your registration got cancelled. You could not file your 3B because of your cancellation of your registration. Now, once you file revocation order and your revocation order passed for the cancellation of GST registration, so department has revoked your cancellation, then you can file your GST return. But by that time, if time limit is gone for availing credit, what you will do? A clarity. You can file all your return within 30 days. For the period cancellation till revocation. So once revocation order is being passed, within 30 days, if you file all your return for the period date of cancellation till date of revocation order, you will be able to get credit, and that is not barred by limitation under section 16 subsection 4. Great advantage to all of us together. But when I'm talking about registration getting cancelled, we know the fake registration has happened, lot many, and there's so many unscrupulous person who has come to the supply chain. They have raised the invoice, but today they are either non-existent or they are not traceable. They might not have paid the taxes. Then government has also recommended compulsory introduction of biometric Aadhaar authentication. They have introduced this system as a pilot project in Gujarat and Puducherry. Now it is going to be pan-India. So whenever they are giving registration, they will do compulsorily biometric Aadhaar authentication to remove this unscrupulous person from the supply chain, laudable one. So this was on section 16, subsection 4. Now I'm coming on second point when I'm talking about that the ease of business. What are the things? Coming back on litigation. What are the decisions taken which is going to give us the advantage to all of us together? Pick up the first point under litigation. First point. Let's say you as a company or as a taxpayer got some so-called notice under section 73 of CGST Act. And 73 is a non-fraud case. So either for non-payment or short payment or wrongly availed credit or utilized credit, except erroneous refund. If you have got the so-called notice for 3 financial years, and you must listen this carefully, your interest and penalty going to be waived off. Advantage, no interest, no penalty for 3 financial years, 17, 18, 1819 and 1920. So-called notice is being issued if you pay the demanded amount by 31st March 2025. 31st March 2025. Then there will not be any interest and penalty advantage. And we will get the advantage of this particular, litigation. And this is what the recommendation of GST Council in 53rd GST Council meeting. Of course, on this point, I've got one observation. They are compliant taxpayer and they are non-compliant taxpayer. Compliant taxpayer may have paid interest also, may have paid penalty also. And under Section 73, 10% of the tax amount is the penalty. But what about, they are not getting any advantage. They have paid the amount. And you are giving advantage to the non-compliant taxpayer. To that extent, I'm having my reservation and observation that yes, these amnesty is helping to the non-compliant taxpayer at the cost of compliant taxpayer. But this is irony. Since recent amendment was the topic, so I'm apprising to all of you, if you have not paid the demand amount, 17, 18, 18, 19 and 19, 20 and period age 31st March 2025. It is going to be by amendment in the Act. So it will be the part of Finance Bill 24. Wait for the budget day. And it is going to be available to all of us together. So this was on first litigation point. Second point, even government is willing on national litigation policy. What is this national litigation policy? To reduce litigation. To reduce litigation, they have principally decided that they will fix up the monetary limit not to file appeal in the appellate tribunal, High Court or Supreme Court. So GST department fixing a limit for themselves and saying that they will not file appeal. So what is the monetary limit fixed? Up to GST tribunal, 20 lakh rupees. Department will not file appeal. High Court, 1 crore. Supreme Court, 2 crore. Department will not file appeal. You as a taxpayer, always file appeal. You are having right to file appeal, except one provision, 112 subsection 2, section 112 subsection 2, wherein GST appellate tribunal at their own discretion may refuse to admit appeal if it is less than 50,000 rupees. So this provision you should keep to your mind. Second one. Third one, under litigation. Whenever we are filing appeal before first appellate authority, which is Commissioner Appeal, and second appellate authority, which is GST Tribunal yet to be formed, they're the criteria of pre-deposit. Compulsorily mandatory pre-deposit. So when you're filing appeal before first appellate authority as per section 107 of CGST Act, what we are doing today, first you have to pay your admitted tax, interest and penalty. You have to pay full admitted one. 10% of disputed tax need to be deposited as a compulsory pre-deposit, subject to maximum of 50 crore. 25 CGST, 25 SGST. Now this 50 crore going to be reduced to 40 crore. 20 crore CGST and 20 crore SGST. When you go to a tribunal, when you are filing appeal before GST-80, the present provision is 20% of disputed tax, subject to maximum of 100 crore rupees, 50 crore CGST and 50 crore SGST. But now they are saying this 20% of disputed tax going to be reduced to 10% of disputed tax, subject to maximum of 40 crore as against 100 crore. 20 crore CGST, 20 crore SGST. But here my another observation, an important one. See, if you go back to pre-GST era, what was the amount for for making mandatory pre-deposit? It was only 7.5% of disputed tax, subject to maximum of 10 crore before first appellate authority. And additionally, 2.5%, totaling together 10% of disputed tax. But now, as per the revised recommendation, 10% before first appellate, 10% before tribunal, it is 20%. That is what not comparable. To that extent, our recommendation, again, our submission and representation to GST Council. So this is on pre-deposit. Coming back to the last point of litigation, that our GST 80 is yet to be formed. And president got appointed, all right? President got appointed. Just give me half a second. Yeah, back to you. Now, what is my last observation under litigation age? That GST 80 is yet to be formed. Now, when GST 80 is yet to be formed, but president has got appointed. And he got appointed on 6th May 2024. And as per filing appeal procedure before GST 80, it is 3 months from the date when president is being appointed for GST 80, which is about to expire in the August 24. But the GST Council has made recommendation and they are saying they will notify a date. So this 3-month criteria will be calculated from a date to be notified. So great relief, major to all of us together. So it was on litigation. Coming back to the return, what are the recent amendment? You file your annual return, right? GSTR 9 and composition dealer 9A. So what they are saying for financial year 23-24, annual return is due by 31st December 24. So they are saying if your aggregate turnover is up to 2 crore, then you need not require to file GSTR 9 and 9A. Advantage. And 9C is not applicable because 9C is applicable when aggregate turnover is more than 5 crore. So you should keep to your mind, if your aggregate turnover up to 2 crore for 23-24, no 9, no 9A, no 9C. So this is one. Second one is the interesting one. We file GSTR 1, right, for outward supply. And then we file GSTR 3B. But sometime while filing 1, we miss the transaction of our outward supply. Or sometimes we make mistake. And once we have filed 1, then data gets auto-populated in GSTR 3B. And then you realize that you have missed some transaction which you were supposed to file in 1. Or you come to know that you have made the mistake while filing your GSTR 1, but you can't rectify. Now they are giving a good features which is called GSTR 1A. GSTR 1A. So after filing 1, if you want to include any transaction or want to amend any transaction, then GSTR 1A would be available to you so that you can add or correct any mistake which you have done while filing GSTR 1. And then this after filing 1A, the correct figures will auto-populate in GSTR 3B. Only condition that 1A to be filed before filing your 3B for the current tax period. It is only talking about current tax period. So second advantage which I have narrated to you. Coming back to some of the important provision from company perspective, because legal and secretarial, whenever I say, it becomes important for the company perspective. So you must take a note of it. The first one, let's say you're importing services from your foreign holding company, foreign affiliate. So Indian related party, Indian affiliate is importing services from foreign affiliate parent company. First question, whether reverse charge applicable, import of services. You know, entry number 4 of Schedule 1, import of services by a person, from a related person, or any of his establishment outside India, whether in the course of furtherance of business, even without consideration. It is import of services, GST leviable under reverse charge method. Schedule 1, deemed supply. Again, I'm rephrasing so that you get a clarity. From your foreign holding company, you're taking some services in by Indian affiliate, Indian related company, subsidiary company. Whether import of services, yes, even though you're not paying any consideration. It is deemed supply. Entry 4, Schedule 1. Reverse charge applicable. You have paid. That's what you would be checking, right? If you have paid, the next question will come, what would be the valuation? You have not paid any consideration to your foreign holding company, right? So what would be the valuation? Important. And it is not only for import of services. You can draw this analogy for any transaction, including cross-charge. I will come back to the cross-charge. So what is cross-charge? Let me also explain to all of you so that you can get the meaning of it. You're having a HO in Delhi, where your CEO, CFO, common HR, IT, accounts team is sitting in HO Delhi. But you're having 4 branches in different 4 states. Question was whether your HO separately registered in Delhi and your 4 branches separately registered in different state under same PAN number, they become distinct person. But whether your HO giving any services to your branches, it is called cross charge. Of course, it's a supply. If it is supply, next question will come, what would be the valuation? Because branches are not giving any amount to the HO. Am I right? What would be the valuation? Cross-charge. And cross-charge is different from ISD, input service distributor. So cross-charge when there is element of service. But ISD, you only input service distributor availing credit on input services and distributing credit among distinct person under same PAN number. And there's no element of service. So that is the broader difference and between cross-charge and ISD. So I was on a point, import of services. I said you can draw the same analogy for cross-charge as well. GST leviable. But what would be the valuation? And importantly, by recent circular, they have clarified. What they have clarified? Listen, this would be a good tax planning to all of you. I'm giving you good tax planning. What is that? If recipient is entitled for full ITC, recipient is entitled for full ITC. So in case of import of services, it is Indian affiliate who is a recipient. They will pay reverse charge liability and entitled for full ITC. Even in cross-charge, this analogy can be adopted. There was an earlier circular number 199, 17 July 2023, with the recent circular need to be read. And I'm giving you silver lining. If recipient is entitled for full ITC, then supplier raising invoice showing any amount that will be considered shall be deemed as an open market value and department will not dispute. Because it's a revenue neutral. that you will pay on that value GST and avail the credit. Revenue neutral. When invoice is being raised, what happens if invoice is not raised? Quite obvious, without consideration, right? Invoice is not raised for the past period. Maybe from 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20. What would be the GST impact? Now, this circular is helping all of us together and saying, when recipient entitled for full ITC, then value can be considered as a nil. If value is nil, no GST, quite obvious, being revenue neutral. That being a recipient, if you pay under reverse charge, you avail similar credit. Revenue neutral transaction. That is what the analogy we can draw for the cross charge. But here one question which you must keep to your mind, there are certain exempted sector. They are not getting credit. Hospital, education. Recipient is not entitled for full ITC. Then in that case, what would be the valuation? And there is challenge that salary cost of CEO, CFO, common HR, IT, accounts team need to be included in the valuation. We can't pick up second provision of Rule 28 sub Rule 1 of CGST rules. Circular number 199 has clarified salary cost need not be included. Being part of entry 1 schedule 3, neither a supply of goods nor supply of services. To that extent, you can minimize your cascading. So this is the very interesting and important one. Another one which is applicable for the corporate, you may have taken a loan from your foreign holding company. Being Indian affiliate has taken a loan and they are paying some interest. Whether GST leviable, whether it is supply first of all, because you have taken only loan, whether it is supply, GST leviable, reverse charge in the hands of Indian affiliate, this transaction may be within India also. An important clarification, you can always go and check back because legal and secretarial loan transactions are so frequent. Clarity. That if you have taken a loan from a foreign holding company, then being Indian affiliate, it is deemed supply. If you look at entry 2 and entry 4 of schedule 1, entry 4 import of services, entry 2 supply of goods or services between related person or distinct person in the course of furtherance of business. It is supply, but GST leviable. And circular is clarifying the position. And the circular number which I'm referring to for the loan age 218, circular number 218, dated 26 June 2024, clearly saying this transaction is exempted. Wide entry 27A of notification number 12/2017 exempted. Of course, supply being exempted, no RCM, no reverse charge. So clarity to all of us together, no reverse charge. And second thing which this circular is clarifying, if you have taken any processing fees, then challenge will come. If processing fees is being charged, then GST going to be leviable on that processing fees only. And here, very interesting point, when you take a loan from bank or financial institution or NBFC, you pay interest also and you pay certain processing fees also. Interest exempted loan entry, but processing fees GST chargeable. To that extent, if your processing fees is being charged, GST going to be levied. That is what it is being explained in that circular. Now I'm picking up 2-3 more because my time is also been given according to me that 45 minutes I must speak. So I will not expend, I will not encroach into the area of my co-speaker Sanjay ji. And I know moderator is also watching me so closely. He's keeping watch on timing and you must be also keeping watch. I'm here to tell you more and more, but I'm trying my best that within the time frame, whatever best I can contribute to all of you. 2-3 more points, then I will sum up my presentation today. I'm giving extempore presentation. I know that there is no PowerPoint presentation. And this presentation must go to the government official that being CS, how excellently we are contributing for the GST perspective. We are discussing, we are deliberating, we are raising the concern and representation, lot of things we are doing from our side. So 2-3 more points, and then I will sum up my presentation. Let me quickly touch base those 2-3 points. Now coming back, the important one, in corporate sector, the ESOP is very famous. Employee stock option plan or employee stock purchase plan or restricted stock unit. If you're giving shares under ESOP to your employee concerned, whether GST leviable, I'm just giving food for thought. You may start thinking aloud whether GST leviable. Another provision could be, I'm a domestic company. Let's take an example. I'm a Microsoft in India. I'm a subsidiary company of Microsoft and holding company outside India. I've offered shares of my holding company, Microsoft, to my employee concerned of domestic related party. And whatever it is being shares given to the employee concerned, I will pay the amount to my parent holding company. So domestic company making payment for the shares allotted to the employee concerned, GST leviable. And we do lot many transactions, right? Today is the word of retaining good resources. We want intellectual need to be retained. How to be retained? Human resources are so important as on date. We are giving ESOP, ESPP, RSU, GST leviable or not leviable. I'm giving you the answer. To me, this answer was available. You can always go back to my YouTube channel, lot many videos. You can search me and go to my YouTube channel, lot many. I've said in the past, repeating again, and a clarification is being issued. A clarification is being issued by the circular number 213, dated 26 June 2024, endorsing whatever we have said in the past. What is this? Shares and securities are neither goods nor services. As per the definition of goods under section 2 subsection 52 and services as per section 2 subsection 102 of CGST Act, shares and securities are neither goods nor services. And GST to be levied only on supply of goods or services, right? When it is not goods or services, where the question of GST. But that is what the clarity. And the second important clarity, that even though I'm giving shares to my employee concern in lieu of employment contract, as a compensation towards employment contract, it is excluded. Schedule 3, entry 1, neither a supply of goods nor supply of services. So no GST leviable, a great relief to all of us together, clarification, and it was much needed. Coming back to the second last topic of the day, and then in GST regime, we are talking about why we don't have seamless flow of credit, why there is cascading. You know, section 17, subsection 5. Even though in the course of furtherance of business, credit is being denied. Why such a provision existing in GST law? When we look at preamble of GST Constitution Amendment Act, which have paved way for GST introduction in the country, it was stated there would be seamless flow of credit, RB. There are many condition and restriction. So I'm not discussing those condition and restriction, but we all agree today what is challenging today. Of course, 7th year's anniversary of GST, this is our utmost representation, request from ICSI to all GST Council members. Please, they should look at this provision. We need seamless flow of credit. You can't put so many conditions with restriction. It is not giving ease of business. That's what we would be looking for. But what is one clarification has come, and that has come with the circular number 219. Duct and main holes are used for optical fiber cable, and optical fiber cables are being used for telecommunication services. And dispute was whether credit is available or not available. Credit is available or not available dependent upon if it is construction of immovable property, credit is not available. But if it is plant and machinery, credit is available. So duct and main holes, which are used for optical fiber cable for telecommunication services, what is this? It is immovable property or plant and machinery? I'm saying that we can draw the analogy of the circular number 219 for other aspect as well. So it is not only for this particular topic which I'm talking. So they have said in that circular, BIML, plant and machinery means any apparatus, any equipment, any machinery fixed by foundation or structural support. So plant and machinery fixed by foundation. Foundation can be civil structure or structural support, can be disputed, but no, it is plant and machinery, capitalized in plant and machinery, and credit is available on plant and machinery. When you look at the provision of section 17, subsection 5, clause C and clause D, credit is available. And that is what this circular is referring to. The last point for my today's presentation. Maybe 2-3 minutes more. I'm taking permission from the moderator. So 2-3 minutes more. I'm taking permission from my co-speaker Sanjay ji as well. Which is very much important for all of us. See, in supply chain, we give discount. There are two kinds of discount. One discount which has been given on the invoice. So 100 rupees, 10 rupees discount given on invoice, transaction value 90, GST leviable on 90 rupees. No problem to this. Problem exists only for the post-sale discount, post-supply discount. So when originally invoice was raised, 100 rupees, 18% GST, but 10 rupees is being given as a post-sale discount or post-sale supply incentive. 10 rupees. Whether that is deductible, what is the provision existing? Section 15, subsection 3, clause B, Roman 2 of CGST Act, putting three conditions that for getting benefit of post-supply discount, as a supplier, I'm raising credit note to my buyer. Three conditions need to be satisfied. What are these three conditions? We should have agreement, and that must be executed on or before supply is being made. Second, the credit note raised by the supplier must be linked with the invoices. And third, when I'm raising credit note, GST charge on credit note, I get adjustment with my outward tax. You as a recipient need to reverse corresponding ITC. This part, let me explain with the mathematics, numbers. 100 rupees was the original supply, 18% charge, 18 rupees. 10 rupees is the post-sale discount, 10 rupees, I'm raising credit note, charging GST 1.8, let's say IGST for interstate supply. As a supplier, I get adjustment of 1.8 to adjust with my outward tax liability. I'm getting adjustment with a condition you as a recipient need to reverse 1.8. But believe me, 7 years of GST, there's no mechanism to cross-check. And it is not, I'm not saying, even circular saying there's no mechanism even for the tax officer. Please, 7 years of GST, no mechanism for taxpayer and tax officer to cross-check whether buyer has reversed the credit or not. No window available. And circular acknowledging this position. So see, I'm not acknowledging, it is all acknowledged by CBIC. Now they are giving a relief. What relief they are giving, they're saying that BIML, what you need to ensure, because supplier taking a benefit of 1.8 adjustment with the outward tax liability, they are saying BIML, if it is less than 5 lakh rupees, GST component, not the amount of credit note, GST component on the amount of credit note, less than 5 lakh rupees. Then I can take certificate from my buyer. Buyer can issue a certificate. Recipient can issue a certificate to me saying that I have reverse credit pertaining to the credit note raised by you. No dispute. But if it is more than 5 lakh tax component, I'm saying, then suppliers should take certificate, and they are referring to here another representation from ICSI. They are saying certificate from CA or CMA. Why not CS? Why we should not get the same equal power opportunity? But circular is saying CA or CMA. For that, we must submit our representation from ICSI as well. That whenever we are referring to CA or CMA certificate, it should be at par with the company secretary certificate also. Certificate by a chartered accountant or cost accountant, and per my representation, CS also from recipient. He will issue a certificate to me, to supplier, that my buyer has reversed the credit. Until a mechanism is being evolved on GST portal. So this was on last point which I wanted to draw. 1 minute more and then I will conclude. 7th years of GST anniversary we are enjoying today. GST has, growing faster and faster. I do not know how many of you are watching continuously to me, but I can only tell you one thing. GST is integral part of all compliances. Look at financial, look at accounting, look at audit, look at legal, look at secretarial, and pick up any industry. Can you say without GST we can survive? No way. No way. GST is an integral part of it. So we have to really start contributing. Second, there are many challenges. I am sure that Sanjay ji is going to touch base ease of business, and many fake invoice, fake credit perspective, which I'm not touching. And that is what mutually we have decided what we will deliberate among both of us together. So I've not picked up his topic, but we both are trying to ignite your mind. And we must compliment that the institute is taking this initiative forward. Our president has spoken about, moderator, CC member is also talking about. We are also trying from our side to ignite each one who are watching this webinar. Wake up. It's a wake-up call for all of us. Legal and secretarial cannot happen without GST. I'm not saying that we should be master, but we should be having some percentage of GST knowledge, because it is ultimately affecting our costing and pricing as well. And once we know GST, we can see the each compliances. And you have seen one recommendation which I was discussing with the circular. I said they are saying only CA, CMA certificate. Why not CS certificate? So unless we look at those provisions, how we can go back to CBIC and GST Council saying that, sir, we are equally at par with other professions. So please give us the opportunity and we will really deliver the best. And that is what we must take commitment. And please today, if at all we want to see GST as a success story in our career. I'm thanking each one of you who are watching this webinar, Pan-India. And as I said, GST applicable from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, irrespective of any language. So I can go to Kerala also now, no language barrier. I can go to Tamil Nadu, no language barrier. Start from somewhere. And that is what the beginning to be. So wish each one of you a great success. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you very much.
It's an excellent presentation by you. In the course of your deliberation, you are saying that as far as GST is concerned, a seamless flow of credit should be there. However, I can say that your presentation was seamless, without any flaw. The way you shared your views. Of course, you are referring to the important point that how the company secretary should take care of GST because it is integral part of compliance. This is a very, very important thing that you have said. And as far as the representation is concerned, yes, to include the company secretaries as part of certification process, I think it is a very good suggestion that has been given to us. And I also Institute will get back to you to get your inputs on some of the important points that you have raised. so that we can make a representation to the government so that they can be considered positively.
Sure.
So as far as your presentation is concerned, you have covered a journey, how the GST has started its journey, the number of the GST people that have been covered, then how much the revenue GST has been raised over a period of time. Now I think you are referring to 2 lakh crores that has been collected as a GST. And also certain important things what you raised about the filing of a new form that has been introduced, wherein the penalty or the interest will not be asked for from the defaulters. Then the national litigation policy, I think it's a very good initiative that the government has taken, and biometrics authentication based on Aadhaar. I think these are all very, very important steps that have been taken. You explained in detail the amendments and the recommendations that have been done in the recent past. I think all the participants will have a lot of takeaways from your presentation. Thank you, Bimal Jain sir. Thank you very much. But you have to stay back because there are questions which are going to be posed to you.
Sure.
Yeah. Now over to CS Sanjay Malhotra. Over to you, sir.
Right. Thank you very much, CS Dwarkanath. So, congratulations, first of all, to all the stakeholders, member of ICSI, taxpayers, tax officers, professionals, tax administrator on GST Day. Because if you see, today is not only GST Day, but Doctors Day and CA Day too. So, hence, congratulations to them also. So, to start with, so I would like to extend my thanks to CS B. Narasimhaji, who is the President Institute of Company Secretaries of India, CS Dhananjay Shuklaji, so Vice President ICSI, Shri CS Ashish Mohanji, Secretary ICSI, for giving me opportunity to be part of today's session GST, a key enabler for Viksit Bharat. So let me extend my thanks to Ms. Vimal Jainji, who has nicely explained in detail the recent amendments in GST as recommended in 53rd GST Council meeting and notified through circulars. So friends, if you see decision which has been taken in recent GST meeting is really a significant step in driving India's vision for Viksit Bharat. So I am going to touch upon compliances and other reforms in GST, which is going to be a key enabler for Viksit Bharat. So let me share with you that myself and Mr. Vimal Jain, so we had participated in session which was organized by Ministry of Finance last year. It was basically a Chintan Shibir. So wherein we both were basically told to come out with various proposals and suggestions which can be implemented 1 year, 1 month down the line, 3 months down the line, 6 months, 5 years and 25 years down the line. So if you see, we were told to think even of the proposals, which is now not basically implementable, but any absurd idea which can be basically possible in the times to come, maybe 25 years down the line. Various recommendations were given, and various recommendations were routed through Institute of Company Secretaries also, which you can find in the current circulars, which has been recently notified and apprised by Vimalji. So friends, if you see, change is the only constant. So what does this statement mean? So change is the only constant. This statement very aptly explains the journey of GST till now. So Vimalji has beautifully covered the entire journey of GST from 2017 till date. And if you see, ICSI has taken up various proposals, because if you recollect 2 years down the line, fake invoices was basically a major concern. It was basically a burning issue, wherein Vimalji, Institute of Company Secretaries, myself, other members, other professional stakeholders. So we had taken up this issue very strongly with the department. We know that GST is basically the India's most transformational tax reforms and has transformed the transactional landscape of India's commercial economy into a digital, because GST, if you see, is everything is digital and transparent system. Plus revenue wise, if you see, to boosted revenue GST collections also. And GST, one of the biggest advantages that it has sailed through transition stage, global pandemic, which is COVID-19, and geopolitical turbulence. So Vimalji rightly pointed out, even we all have witnessed the average monthly GST collection from 90,000 crores to 2 lakh crores as of now. This is due to the collective efforts of GST Council, wherein if you see representative from state governments are there, from central governments are there. It is basically the collaborative efforts. Even if you see the role of the GST Council, what has come out in the past 53 GST Councils meeting is redressing the taxpayer grievances and making the statutory compliances easier. So I'll share you in the past how statutory compliances have been made easier and what are going to be the area of reforms for Viksit Bharat. So what we look forward to in another means 20 years to be implemented. So if you see as of now in 7 years, it's like GST no pain and all gain for all the stakeholders. But still means lot needs to be done as far as the GST is concerned. So let me tell you, when we regularly interact with taxpayers, tax policymakers, tax administrators, so we oftenly come across with their expectations from GST Council, which is on either it be rationalization of GST rates, filing of GST returns. So I'll tell you, I'll apprise you what measures have been taken in by Government of India to make the process of filing returns easier. And what are our recommendations? So when myself and Vimalji, so we participated in Chitan Shivar. So I'll tell you, so our major recommendation was to have a monthly GST return. Because if you see on a monthly basis, it's like GSTR1, which everybody is filing as of now. Second is the GSTR2B, which is basically dynamic GSTR2, which is dynamic GSTR2B, and dynamic is GSTR2A, and 2B is basically the static part. So if you see, then comes basically the matching exercise of credit, which is reflecting in 2B and which is reflecting in your tax registers, and then filing of GSTR3B. What we suggested to government, we suggested that can there be one monthly return? Why? We charted basically a strategy. So if you see in the present scenario, any taxpayer who is having turnover at PAN level, which is more than 5 crores in any of the financial year starting from means July 1st, 2017, they have to mandatorily go for e-invoicing. So as on date, any taxpayer who is having turnover which is more than 5 crores on PAN level, starting from means July 1st, 2017 till last financial year, 23-24, he has to opt for e-invoicing. And once he opts for e-invoicing and undertakes e-invoicing, so all data from e-invoicing gets auto-populated into his GSTR1. What we recommended to government? We said filing of GSTR1, if you see, takes close to 41 days time. Why 41 days time? Because if you see, so if you are going to invoice from 1st July onwards, so you know that I have to file GSTR1 if I am a monthly filer by 11th of next month. So which means even if you are raising invoices on a daily basis, and if you incorporate your invoices, let's say if you are mandatorily required to raise e-invoice, so data of e-invoice is getting auto-populated into your GSTR1. And if you are only making supplies of B2B or exports, so if you see your return GSTR1 is auto-populated with the details from GSTR, from e-invoicing, and it gets automatically prepared. Only B2C supplies are to be manually added into GSTR1. And GSTR1, if you start basically updating on a daily basis from 1st July onwards, so it is going to be a 41-day cycle to file GSTR1. 30 days of the current month if you upload your invoices on a daily basis, and 11 days, which is going to be for the next month. So what we said? We said you do away with GSTR1 in the times to come. Why so? Because whatever data is getting auto-populated into GSTR1, except for P2C supplies, that can be auto-populated into GSTR3B also. Because GSTR3B is getting auto-populated from means GSTR1 and GSTR2B. So we said you do away with GSTR1 in the times to come, and you make mandatory e-invoicing for all the taxpayers starting from rupee 1 turnover. So what will happen then? So we jotted down strategy that means going forward, maybe from means 1st January 25 onwards, it's going to be the mandatory e-invoicing for all the taxpayers. So if it is going to be mandatory invoicing, then details are going to be auto-populated from e-invoice to straight away your monthly return. It can be 3B or it can be renamed, whatever means you are going to rename it. And as far as the 2B is concerned, so 2B data is also getting captured into GSTR 3B. So can we look forward to cut down on a time for monthly returns, which can be 10th also instead of 20th? Because as of now, if you see, it's a difficult process for taxpayer to match ITC. Because on 14th of next month, data gets auto-populated into GSTR 2B, and it's hardly basically 6 days time, which is available with the taxpayer to match ITC. So very short time, very limited time, six days. So this is one of the proposal which we basically placed in front of Ministry of Finance. So when we had Chintan Shivir, lot many means proposals were there, because if you see, even through institute, we have recommended in past several proposals for making the compliance process easier, which has been accepted by the GST Secretariat also. So thanks to GST Council and Secretariat, CBIC for the same. So friends, if you see, when the GST was rolled out, so initial year of GST rollout is still a reminder of various hits and misses which we have witnessed. And the last 2 years, especially if you see, had been a major area of technology reform at GST portal. Ease of filing returns is there. So we have seen that when we are making supplies through e-commerce operator, so now the column has been incorporated in GSTR 1. Auto population of details from means July 2022 in 2B. So prior to July 2022, if you see, so several notices were issued to taxpayers for mismatch between GSTR 1 and 3B and mismatch between GSTR 2B and 3B. Lot of show cause notices are there. So litigations are going on. So we had taken up with GST Secretariat and CBIC for making the compliance easier for taxpayer. So why to wait till the audit is undertaken or scrutiny is undertaken? Why not means taxpayer should be aware of if any kind of variance is there between GSTR 1, which is the detail of outward supplies, and GSTR 3B, which is basically a monthly return, or GSTR 2B versus 3B. So ITC which is reflecting in 2B or ITC which is availed in 3B versus ITC which is there in the 2B. So why should taxpayer not be aware right from the beginning, so that he does not have to wait for scrutiny or audit to be taken? And if you see, so government accepted this request, and last year technological change was made at GST portal. There is a form which is DRC01B and DRC01C, which is incorporated at GST portal. And the moment taxpayer files his GSTR 1 and GSTR 3B, on a monthly basis, if you see if variance is there between GSTR 1 and 3B, auto intimation gets populated at GST portal and goes in the mailbox of taxpayer. So if you see the difference is there, if difference is there between GSTR 1 and 3B, auto intimation straight away goes to taxpayer to set his system right. So big area of compliance. So another is the variation between 2B and 3B. So a lot of litigation has been reduced to these two fronts. So if you see as on date, when we come across with any kind of a litigation, so in most of the litigation, 2 points are common. So one is variance between 1 and 3B, and second is basically the variance between 2B and 3B. So compliance has been made easier thanks to the GST Council and CBIC. Now auto intimation format is there, which taxpayer can have look at. So if variance is there, so he'd get automated intimation from GST portal in his mail or at portal. He can set the systems right. So if you see major area of litigation has been done away with. And then if you see, so information sharing across statutory bodies. So it is not only the GST, if the show cause notice is issued, so that is going to be retained till GST level. So it is going to be shared with the various authorities also. It be income tax, it be means EDB, B means any other means authority. So information sharing across statutory bodies and adoption of artificial intelligence paved the way for tax evaders, particularly those using fake invoices and fake firms. This is basically, if you see, a major area of concern since the rollout of GST, because as on date, if you see, you may come across with know your customer steps, which has been basically brought in by CBIC and GST Council, so available at GST portal also. So before boarding vendor on board in your company, you need to undertake KYC for sale. But can we conclude that now as far as the fake invoices are concerned, it has been done away with? No, it has been controlled to a large extent. But still, if you see, Government of India is working on to completely take away as far as the fake invoices and fake firms existence is concerned. Know your customer before onboarding in business have resulted in what? Have resulted in transition of unorganized to organized in a formal economy. What does it mean? It has widened the tax base and reduced cost of inputs for buyers. This clearly shows the way forward to Viksit Bharat. Because if you see, when the economy gets moved from unorganized to organized, what does it mean? Stakeholders, taxpayers, or the end consumers gets advantage in terms of passing on ITC to them, reduced cost of input services and capital goods. Because we all would like to work with the formal economy rather than informal economy. So various areas, because if you see as on date, which we look forward as an area of reforms, it is going to be the compliance, ease of compliance, which will make ease of doing business. So various areas of reforms for Viksit Bharat, what is going to be the first is going to be the need to revisit tax rates. We all know that as far as the textile sector is concerned and other pharma sector is concerned, so duty inversion is there. And oftenly, if you see, I think coming August, again GST Council meeting is going to be there, so which is post-budget in the month of August. What we have proposed is to do away with the duty inversion part. Why? Because it blocked funds for various sectors. So as of now, if you see, it's basically the textile and pharma. So which suffers most in terms of blockage of working capital. So when we say Viksit Bharat, so what we are looking forward to, that working capital of taxpayers in terms of GST should not be blocked. And need to revisit tax rates means what we look forward to is the moderate tax rate, not the higher tax rate. So tax slabs can be reduced to 2. As of now, 5% slab is there, 12% slab is there, 18, 28. So can we merge 5 and 12 into 1, 12 and 18 into 1, and 18 to 28 into 1? So instead of 5, it is going to be 3, and the times to come, it's going to be 2, and then single tax rate structure. So coming 2047. So wherein we target for Viksit Bharat, can we have basically one tax structure? So if which governments need to revisit. And if you see, whenever we are going to have higher tax rates, what does it mean? It leads to revenue leakages and operational of informal economy, which adds to our cost also for input services and capital goods. We have digitized system. So GST, because if you see the entire digitalization is there, automated system at GST portal for scrutiny of returns, what we look forward to, because as on date, variant divergent practices across field formations exist. No common yardstick is there for scrutiny of returns. So for Viksit Bharat, even if you see, so this is one of the major concerns of stakeholders also, taxpayers also. Can scrutiny of return be going to be automated at GST portal? Because when we say one nation, one tax, one market, so one practice is also going to be there. And it can only be fulfilled if we are going to have automated system at GST portal for scrutiny of returns, so that no divergent practices, no different yardsticks for assessing a particular taxpayer. And the same practice is going to be for audit also in the times to come. So if you see, various areas are there, and Vimalji rightly said that this presentation should go to government also, because therein, because when they are going to have means internal collaborative meetings, so whenever means GST Council meeting is going to be there, or the members of CBIC or GST Council, they can have basically look to these proposals that can these be implemented not now, maybe 5 years down the line, 2 years down the line, 20 years down the line. So uniform practice across nation, either it be with state officers or it be with central officers. And if you see, when we had a Chintan Shivir, so we asked for GST app. GST app for what? GST app for nil means nil GST return filers, which is going to be on a single click. So another area for reforms and ease of doing businesses and compliances in GST. So which government should means consider. So if you see, when the compensation cess was rolled out in July 2017, which is for 5 years, that was to compensate states for any shortfall in tax revenue, because if you see, states were given 14% CAGR. So they were basically assured that if your revenue is going to be shortfall, which is less than 14% CAGR on an annual basis, so we'll compensate you. And for same means compensation cess was brought in. And now from July 2022, no compensation is there. No compensation is required to be paid to states. So can we think of means doing away with this compensation cess? Because it is going to reduce cost further for various means products to the end consumers. And petroleum products. So petroleum products, in recent 53rd GST Council meeting, even Finance Minister Srimati Nirmala Sitharamanji clarified that products are already there into GST. Only states has to decide what is going to be the rate and what is going to be the date for implementation of same. And if you see, aviation and natural gas are the low-hanging fruits which can be considered for means going ahead with the GST rate and date of notification as far as GST is concerned. What will happen then? So no cascading impact of taxes are going to be there, because two things. One, Vimalji said, because when GST was rolled out, it was clearly specified that there is going to be seamless flow of input tax credit in the entire blockchain. And if you see, so petroleum products, if we brought means whatever low-hanging fruits are there, which is aviation and natural gas into GST, notify date and GST rates for same. So then if you see, it's going to be the nil cascading impact of tax. And ITC, which when the GST was rolled out, it was there in the constitution also, that levied at every stage and supply of distribution chains, tax is commended for giving benefit of ITC to the tax remitted at previous stages, thereby allowing seamless flow of credit. Blocked ITC, which is there in section 17 subclause 5 of CGST Act, adds to cost, and it should be reviewed for Viksit Bharat, because if you see, as on date, hospitality industry does not get any kind of ITC. Construction, we don't get any kind of ITC. So ITC should be made available there also. And another area of compliance and reduction of litigation, and for making means Viksit Bharat, is basically, can we think of centralized audit of pan-India companies to reduce compliance burden and uniform yardstick to be followed? Because as in date, if you see, company A, if based in Chandigarh, is subject to Chandigarh state jurisdiction, whereas same company, if operating in Delhi, may be under center jurisdiction. So PAN number is same, distinct entity. So for long term, if you see, for a Viksit Bharat, so I think this is going to be the one of the major area of reform. So can we again revisit and change the jurisdiction? So in terms of PAN India, it is going to be with the central GST authorities, so that same yardstick is going to be followed. And one of the important aspect, which I am going to again reiterate what Vimalji has shared, is the kind of the amnesty scheme which is going to be built in into the coming means budget 2024, which is waiving of interest and penalty for demands under Section 73, which is not a case of suppression, misrepresentation, or fraud, which is a welcome step. Welcome step. But again, Vimalji rightly said that non-compliant taxpayers will stand to gain at the cost of compliant taxpayers. No doubt litigation will get reduced, but the compliant taxpayer who had paid interest and penalty are the sufferers as of now. Another area in GST implementation wherein the taxpayers stand to gain is the logistics cost. No check posts are there. Road permits have been done away with. Earnings of tax operators, truck operators, because if you see has been increased. Reduction in turnover time, vehicle means transit time has been reduced. So this is one of the important aspects. No doubt concept of e-way bill has been replaced basically with the road permits. Can we think of in the times to come? So when e-invoicing is there, why there is need for e-way bill? So because in the times to come, if you see, it's not going to be documents which is going to be with truck driver. It is going to be only QR code which is going to be there. So entire movement of material on way, either by road, rail, or by air, it is going to be paperless. Only QR code is going to be there. So if you see, so various innovative reforms government is thinking to be undertaken with the collaborative efforts of GST Council members. So it may be central GST officers, state GST officers. And one area which is going to be there in terms of technological advancement is the release of APIs to taxpayers for real-time monitoring of incoming material to ensure JIT and planned material offloading. So government is planning to release APIs. APIs for what? So if you see, if I am sourcing material from you, so you are going to raise e-invoice. So I am going to have APIs wherein data, once you basically file or upload your e-invoice at GST portal, it is going to be automated. It is going to be the entire automated process wherein the details from your e-invoice gets fetched to my system. As of now, third-party service providers are there who are giving these APIs, but we have taken up with government to give these APIs directly to the taxpayers. So if I am making supply from you, and when you are going to raise e-invoice, so if you are based in Bombay, I am based in Chandigarh. So before moving a vehicle from your factory, or at the time of moving a vehicle from your factory, if you have raised the invoice, vehicle is going to come to me with a gap of 5-6 days. So immediately what I'll do? So I'll extract all the data from means APIs, which is part of your e-invoice, and then plan whether the invoice which has been issued by you is correct. And I can plan basically the advance of loading of material into my factories, which is basically a terminology called ASN, Advanced Shipment Note. So if you see, ease of doing business is there, and government is making basically the compliances easier. So compliance is easier. It may be basically, if you see real-time data, what we have asked for, can taxpayers have real-time access to real-time data of defaulters, tax evaders for KYC verification before onboarding suppliers? This is for what? To do away with as far as the fake invoices are concerned. No doubt in the past, when Vimalji highlighted in various forums the issue of fake invoices, so we were told that you basically come out with the suggestions how to carry forward. So then Board Circular 171 was issued, which classified basically persons A, B, C, what is going to be the transaction. So who is going to be penalized and from whom the tax demand is going to be raised. Because in earlier law, in pre-GST regime, we have come across with various judgments of the Supreme Court, wherein it has been categorically stated that the buyer cannot be penalized for misdeeds done by supplier. And as on date, if you see, different judgments are there. So ultimate burden is basically with the recipient of goods. We as a taxpayer need to make sure before onboarding supplier into our business, into our company, whether he is fully compliant. And there is no mechanism as of now. You can watch vendors in your back chain, but not basically in the entire chain. So which may be lengthy. So if you see, this process has already been taken up with the government for making the compliance process easier, because this is one of the area wherein still now litigation is going on. So another area which from institute we would like to recommend to the GST Council also to look into widening of tax base rather than increasing GST rates. Look for widening the tax base. So it may be means 2 lakh crore as of now GST revenue collection on a monthly basis. It can go to 2.50 lakhs or 3 lakhs maybe 1 year down the line. So 10% increase we are projecting this year. So it can means grow by 25% also if the tax base widened is looked into. How UPI payments, if you see. So in May 2024, if you see 14 billion transactions as far as UPI is concerned, worth I think 20 trillion has been undertaken. And in UPI transactions, if you see, so major chunk is basically into the unformalized, unorganized economy. So government is working on those transactions also. So how to bring in into a formal economy. It is going to cut down on your cost also. And the duty inversion part, it has already been taken up because working capital is getting blocked for domestic suppliers who is undertaking supply of goods which is under inverted duty structure. And if you see, the another point which we have taken with the government is, can they think of reducing the refund time further from 60 days to 30 days? 60 days to 30 days for what? No doubt, if you see, so when we used to have pre-GST regime, refund processing cycle was close to 90 days. And in current scenario, if you see, one good move which has come into by GST Council, by Government of India, by CBIC, is the continuous clarification on the interpretational issues with regard to the refund process. It may be concessional duty refund, it may be accumulated ITC refund, it may be inverted duty structure refund, any refund if you talk about. So continuous clarification is there from the board so that working capital of a particular taxpayer or exporter should not be blocked. So this is basically one of the aspect to be appreciated. But if you see, when we had taken up with the Government of India, so we said one of the important means compliance aspect which is going to be there is, can you think of automating the entire process of ITC refund or inverted duty structure refund at GST portal, automized in a similar fashion? If a taxpayer is making export clearances on payment of IGST, so filing of shipping bill itself is the filing of claim. No manual intervention is there. The moment you file your GST return, monthly GST return, which is 3B, so next day you can get IGST refund credited into your bank account if the shipment is sailed and other formalities have been done away with. But if you see still as of now, what exporters are saying, that we are filing, we are making exports in a particular month and filing returns in next month, which is still 20th of next month. And then refund process starts coming in and another 60 days process is there. So one of the major area of reforms and in terms of compliance, which has been taken up with government is, can we think of whenever we are making export clearances, whenever exporter is making export clearances, even during the month, so can there be process of automated duty debit into their cash ledger or into their electronic rate ledger, so that exporter does not have to wait for filing of monthly return and then making application at GST portal. So when shipping bill is going to be the document which is treated as the filing of refund claim, so can there be process? So if you see, these are the various processes which Institute of Company Secretaries have taken up with the Government of India. For what? For making basically a Viksit Bharat. So to cut down litigation cost, there is going to be the national litigation policy, which Vimalji has nicely described to all of us. Monetary limits are going to be there. And once the monetary limits are going to be there, I think majority of cases litigation will come down. And majority of litigation, even in the past, if you see, was there on the two aspects. One is variance between GSTR 1 and 3B, and one is variance between 2B and 3B. So government has come out with the circulars in the past also, which is 183 and 193 in CGST, wherein if mismatch in ITC is there between 2A and 3B. For example, supplier might have paid tax, but he has not filed GSTR1, he has filed only GSTR3B. Or there is a scenario, he has filed GSTR1 and 3B, but not reported supplies against your GST number. Or there can be a scenario wherein supplier has reported supply under B2C category. But the important aspect was when the circular 183 was issued, which is for financial year 2017-18, and circular which is 193, which is for the period till 31st December 2021. So government has come out with clarification because there was no mechanism, as Vimalji rightly said, there is no mechanism for these past 7 years to verify as far as the credit notes are concerned. So if I am issuing credit note, whether the buyer has made reversal of the same or not, it was not there. As of now, if you see the processes from means August 22 onwards, if I am raising credit note, so credit is getting automatically reduced in GSTR to be of my recipient. So for the past, I think 5 years prior till rollout of GST, July 1 to 2017 till August 2022 process was not there. Similarly, if you see, no mechanism was there for matching of invoice to invoice. So it was only variance between 2B and 3B as of now, but no invoice to invoice, which invoice has been missed out. So on the similar pattern of circular 183 and 193, wherein the provision was incorporated to get the certificate issued from the chartered accountant of a supplier, if the credit involved on a yearly basis is more than 5 lakhs. If it is going to be less than 5 lakhs on an annual basis, so supplier can basically certify at his own. Same feature is there in the credit notes as of now. So if you see, so various processes are going on. So if you see in the past 7 years, so almost close to 222 circulars have been issued. And this is the first time wherein means almost close to 17 circulars have been issued as of now. For what? For ease of doing business. So every time it's basically the continuous and collaborative efforts of state governments, officers and central government officers to be the part of GST Council and discuss not what they want to discuss, to discuss, highlight and come out with resolution on the grievances which is faced by taxpayers. So GST Council role is very wide to discuss upon issues which taxpayer is facing as of now. What used to be prior to means pre-GST regime, it was only budget. So everybody needs to wait for budget, which is once in a year's time to come out with any kind of a clarification or rationalization of GST rates. So it's only in the GST wherein the life of taxpayer is very easy. You ask for means any clarification now, you root clarification from any of the association, it is going to be 100% taken up in the GST Council and GST Secretariat. So if you see, so because the role of GST Council is to look forward to facilitate taxpayer and not to impose any kind of taxes on taxpayer. So registration process is also there. And in registration process, Pimalji rightly said now means biometric, which was basically earlier implemented in Gujarat, is going to be implemented pan level for what to control fake invoices. So in order to ensure compliance, various checks have been put in through AI also, which has some sort of a linkage between GSTR returns and between the data which we file with ROC. So balance sheets are there also. Whatever revenue figures we are declaring in GSTR, those gets even auto-populated to systems which is there with the income tax also. And when we file, R means profit and loss and declare income in MC also. So we need to be very sure as a compliance officer, we need to be very sure to validate whatever figures are punched in GST returns in terms of revenue, whatever is there into the ITR returns, sale of goods or services, and whatever gets punched into MCA portal. So as a compliance officer, because if you see role of CS even has widened. So we have come across with various company secretaries who has undertaken practice into GST in past 7 years. So we appreciate basically all those women's company secretary members who have taken this task and ensuring compliance at the level of taxpayers. So without taking much of time, because it's already 5:45 minutes, which is given to me. So I wish to close now by expressing my gratitude to all the taxpayers, policymakers, tax administrators, tax professionals, Vimal Jainji for taking us through various recent amendments in GST in a nice manner, Institute of Company Secretaries for their immense contribution in goods and service tax. And once again, congratulations to all members. So thanks very much. So over to CS Dwarkanath.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yes, Sanjay Malhotra, such an excellent presentation. The Indian view of Bharat. I think such an excellent presentation.
Your voice is cracking.
Dwarkanath, your voice is not properly audible. It's breaking in between.
Is it audible now?
Yes, Dwarkanath, it's audible.
Yeah. Of course, you started your address saying that change is only permanent. Yes, there are a lot of recommendations that you have given to be presented to the GST Council. Some important things, of course, what I feel, which you have covered excellently, the impact of the fake invoices and what steps to be taken to reduce that, and importance of filing the monthly returns coupled with e-invoicing. All the taxpayers have to file the returns, mandatorily by all the taxpayers, and the rationalization of tax rates, where the rate of tax is very much on the higher side. There would be a leakage of revenue. That's what you referred to. Then talking about the centralized audit, I think that recommendation I think makes a lot of sense. Then requirement of introducing amnesty scheme for the benefit of all the taxpayers. Then the requirement of introducing QR code for the logistics purposes, I think makes a lot of sense. Then the requirement of reducing the refund period, especially for the exporters where their working capital is blocked for many days. And the last thing, I think very important thing, instead of apart from covering the recommendations of the GST which are going to be deliberated in the council, you said that the grievances of the taxpayers have to be given priority. I think it makes a lot of sense because taxpayers look for ease of doing business. That is the motive of the government. The current government is looking at to see that we live in Viksit Bharat in terms of doing business. Of course, you also praised the role that is being played by the company secretaries in terms of compliance, whether it is company law or FEMA or GST. I think kudos to all the company secretaries who are into practice of GST as well. Having said that, I thank you very much for your excellent presentation. Sir, I have got many questions, maybe roughly around 40 questions are there. I don't know whether we'll be able to cover all the questions, but I'll try to read out the questions which I feel that important for you to answer so that our participants get benefited, please. To Sanjay Malhotra, the first question. GST slabs are becoming problem for MSME sector. What is your recommendation, sir?
As far as GST slabs are concerned, because if you see, so when I have this particular aspect, so I have taken into my session also that as far as slabs are concerned, so we have basically multiple slabs as of now, so which is 5%, 12%, 18%, and 28%. So even if you see when we had basically Chintan Shivar, so myself and Vimalji, so we pointed out that we are looking for India as a Viksit Bharat, maybe 2047. So can we think of having single tax structure? So it may not implemented in a day or two, in a month or so. So can we think of tweaking rates? And it is going to be moderate. So 5 and 12 can it be basically somewhere around 7, 8, and 12, 18 can be somewhere around 15. So because if you see, it's not going to be the rate reduction which government is going to carry out. And we are focusing on having moderate tax rates, not increasing the tax rates, but making basically the widening the tax base. So I agree with means whatever basically reservations are there for MSME, but government is going to have tax rates irrespective of whether they are they fall into MSME or large taxpayer or small taxpayers. But still, if you see, so from means institute we are going to recommend. So it is going to be the lower tax rate, not impacting means MSME and other taxpayers.
Thank you, sir. Bimal sir, now question to you. It's raised by a participant. We raised RCM invoice, but they did not make payment. How to verify and deal with the notice from the department?
See, RCM means recipient liable. But what looks like to me, this question is he's a supplier. He's a registered supplier. And his supply is subject to RCM. Now, he's asking a question. I have raised the invoice, filed my one, put subject to reverse charge a recipient who need to discharge the GST liability. But I do not know whether recipient has paid the liability or not. And he got the notice. I can only tell you legally, department cannot demand, I'm using the term cannot, I'm not saying may not. If something which is subject to RCM, it is to be paid by recipient only, not by the supplier. And they can't raise notice on supplier. This is what I understood it. If it is a case of self-invoice from unregistered supplier, which I touch base in my deliberation, then it is recipient who is raising self-invoice to himself. And on that basis, he is availing credit. So there I don't see any reason. But of course, if he has not paid, which is subject to RCM, then of course he would be answerable and accountable. So I have taken from both perspectives for this particular question.
Thank you. Now over to Sanjay Malhotra, the next question. Sir, can we expect expansion of GST tax network with the petroleum products in the ambit of GST in the times to come?
Yes, definitely. Because if you see in the recent the 53rd GST Council meeting also, so FM clearly said that as far as the petroleum products are concerned, it is already there in GST, but state needs to be worked out the implementation date, and the rate of tax. So definitely it's going to be there, but it's going to be the collective efforts of states and center. So I said basically, if you see aviation fuel and natural gas are basically low-hanging fruits, which can be introduced, which can be subject to GST rate and date to be notified, means which can be implemented in this particular financial year too. So it all depends upon basically the collaborative efforts of state and center. So no doubt, if you see petroleum products are already there in the GST.
Thank you. Now, sir, Bimal Jain, sir, why is GST considered a key component in India's journey towards Viksit Bharat?
Indeed, there should not be any doubt. If we are talking about our economy is growing by 7%, supply chain.
Correct.
And supply chain GST is one of the integral part and parcel. Can you think of without GST of supply chain, business community, business, trade, industry, commerce? No, we can't think of. So if somebody is asking this question, why GST, then somewhat I will request him that he need to really understand GST becoming integral part. You can't take away. Any business can't take out GST from the business. It is a part and parcel of that business and business as a whole, as economy. So it is so integrally connected that when you talk about business, GST would be there. That is what the replica all about.
Sir, now to Sanjay ji, what measures are being taken to curb fraudulent refund claims and to streamline the GST ecosystem?
So if you see, means I still recollect that CBIC. So why I think they issued basically one of its memorandums, which is the way back in May 2019. And if you see, so they cautioned even the field formation. So there means tax officers on the risk of encashment of ITC availed on fake invoices by obtaining IGST refund. So if you see, so audit recommendation was there, and department has taken various measures to come across with no sanction of means fraudulent refund. So if you see, one is basically the restriction of means ITC available in GSTR 2A. And second, if you see, Aadhaar authentication has been made mandatory for filing of GST refund claims. PFMS system is there to validate bank accounts so that if the amount is getting credited, it is going to be credited in the correct account. And if you see, so DGRM office is there, which is flagging off high risk taxpayers. And in case of high risk taxpayers, if they are making export clearances or payment of IGST, so then it is not the custom officer who is basically the system officer to process refund. So those refunds, government has already issued circular to plugging revenue leakages and to avoid any erroneous sanction of refund. So cases are being forwarded to the respective jurisdiction officers to validate and undertake course correction and to process refunds only if it is in order. So government has put in various yardsticks to make sure that erroneous refunds should not get sanctioned. So various yardsticks are there, various systems controls are there, even AI is there. So DGRM is working on same.
Okay, thank you, sir. Sir, next question to Bimal sir. I think somebody has faced some practical issue. Sir, one of my client received a notice in respect of pending interest on a delayed tax submission for the year 2020, 20, I think some year I think he has missed out. Have calculated the pending interest and filed the calculation sheet along with the reply online and paid the pending taxes. Do I have to file a hard copy, a reply, and clarify the jurisdictional officer for the same?
See, if online reply is being submitted, then that is the sufficient submission, no problem. But to have doubly surety, there is no harm that physical copy of same submitted to the jurisdictional officers and getting the endorsement from the jurisdictional officer. Because a lot of litigation we are finding only on online and offline uploading or submission. So my advice to you would be, if you can just file physical copy also, though it is not required, I'm saying that, it would be double endorsement, double surety for you.
Now to Sanjay sir, will there be any move from the government to simplify GST compliances, like filing of a single form, avoiding annual filings? I think he wants your comments.
Yes, because if you see, so I have touched upon this point also that when we had means Chintan Shivir last year, even we have routed this recommendation from means ICSI also to the board and GST council. So can there be single return? So can we merge means GSTR 1 and 3B? So if you see, yes, but it's going to take time because what we have been suggested is to bring all taxpayers first into the e-invoicing pattern and then do away with GSTR 1. So whatever e-invoice details are there, it is going to be populated to 3B. So it is going to be only one return. Yes, it is going to be there, but it's going to take time. So as of now, what has been discussed with the government is that I think coming means to January 2025. So initially they will bring all taxpayers into the invoicing and then means consider having a single return. But yes, it's going to be there. So institute has already taken up.
Thank you, sir. And now the next question to Bimal, sir. Could you please explain the applicability of GST on taking lease a residential premises for commercial purposes? He says, for example, CACS profession. The owner is not registered under GST. Can CACS get the credit of the same, and what should be the responsibility of the owner?
Of course, a very interesting one. Leasing of residential property for use as a residence exempted. But leasing of commercial property, then question comes reverse charge in the hands of recipient. Now, in a given situation, residential property is being leased out and it is being used for the commercial purpose. So exemption is not available. It is only residential property for residential purpose. If it is commercial, then the challenge. Now, if it is used for commercial purpose, permissible or not permissible as per local law is a different thing altogether. But from GST perspective, it is commercial, then the question will come forward charge versus reverse charge. The landlord is leasing out his residential property. He wanted to use as residence, but you are using as a commercial property now. Now, if any residential property which is being taken by registered recipient, that is what the change brought from 18 July 2022. So to my mind, is a recipient who is undertaking obligation on its head being recipient, but you're using for the commercial purpose. Now, as I said, there are other law provision where the residential property can be used for commercial purpose, which I'm not touching, but if it is in the course of furtherance of business, then of course I can say, I can prove I've used for the business purpose. Hence, credit should be available. So sometimes we use residence our own office, and there are certain prescribed percentage of that particular residential area used as an official purpose. To that extent, pro rata credit would be available to the extent of commercial usage.
Thank you. Sir, next question, Sanjay sir. What he says is, okay, I have paid penalty to the tune of 22 lakhs on behalf of the client under section 73 subsection 11. So whether there is any remedy for such a client? How will GSTR 1A impact the ITC of the recipient if supplier files 1A on 17th, but recipient already files its 3B on 16th?
So because if you see, so even Vimalji also categorically specified this point that no doubt GSTR 01A form, which is there, it is going to be implemented now. But one of the important aspect is that if any means mistake has been made in GSTR 1, which is going to be corrected in GSTR 01A, it has to be done before filing of GSTR 3B. Because whatever amendments are going to be there in GSTR 01, it is going to do course correction in 3B. So then means basically if you see the buyer has to wait till next month to get means ITC.
Thank you, sir. Next question to you, sir. Bimal sir. Can GST on capital goods purchased by proprietor for his own use be claimed as input credit to his proprietary form?
No problem, provided it is not barred by negative list 17 subsection 5. So motor vehicle, which may be fixed asset in my balance sheet, can I avail credit? No, unless it is for specified purpose. So there are certain restriction under section 17 subsection 5. If restriction is not applicable, no problem, avail the credit. Laptop, I'm giving right example. Laptop is a fixed asset in my books of accounts and used for the business purpose. Mobile, used for the business purpose. Of course, some of the calls are going to residential purpose as well, but there is no bar per se. So to my mind, if it is in the course of furtherance of business, you can avail credit, except which is being restricted.
Thank you, sir. Next question, sir. Malhotra, sir. Whether input tax credit it is admissible on expenditure incurred by a company towards CSR activities as per the provisions of the Companies Act 2013.
Correct. Because if you see, this is one of the most important area which was earlier subject to litigation, and different means authority for advanced rulings have come out with different means judgments. So one in favor of SSC, yes, ITC is eligible. One is against ITC is not eligible. But if you see a particular clause in section 17 subclause 5, which is FA clause, it has been inserted now as a blocked ITC. So it has been inserted now as a blocked ITC from 1st October 2023. So now ITC is not eligible on CSR activities.
I will only
Thank
touch base on this point that restricted from 1st October 23, prospective.
Correct.
For the past period, since this provision was not there,
Right.
no restriction.
No restriction.
It is in the course of furtherance of business.
Correct.
It's an obligation, statutory obligation on a company. So
Correct.
prior to 1st October 23, to my mind, credit is available. That is the only addition.
Correct, sir.
Next question to you, sir. Bimal, sir. What is valuation of supply of goods or service prior to 26th October 2023 for corporate guarantee given to associate concerns in case of no consideration received for such corporate guarantee?
If recipient is eligible for full ITC, I will say nil value.
Correct.
I will say nil value. But otherwise, I can tell you, put 20,000 rupees, 50,000 rupees, or make it 21,101, a good numbers. And pay GST because recipient is entitled for full ITC. It's revenue neutral transaction. So that is how we can always argue. But prior to 26th October 23, because subclause 2 got inserted in Rule 28 and specific provision higher of 1% or actual amount, whichever is being paid. To my mind, prior to that, we can always use second proviso, Rule 28 sub Rule 1. That would be my reply.
The next question to Sanjay Malhotra, sir. What is the impact of GST on trade with other countries? Has it promoted exports from India?
No, because if you see, it's not going to have any kind of impact. So it's going to be the foreign trade policy part. Because if you see, either it is pre-GST regime or post-GST regime. So exporters are relieved from means whatever duties and taxes they are paying on export products. So GST will not make any kind of difference. So whatever situation was there in pre-GST regime, so same is there in the post-GST regime.
Sir, coming to last two questions, but both of you have to answer. What is the scope under GST framework for company secretary in practice for both of you?
If you see, so Vimalji has already taken up this issue very well, basically, when he started this session. So if you see, scope is there, and what we have come across with that institute has started program, which is refresher course for GST. I think basically 8-9 batches have gone, and the results are tremendous. So we have basically even come across with even younger ones who have taken up assignments in GST. And I think Vimalji can vouch for this. So many are basically followers of Vimalji. So even basically, if you see the when I have been some sort of even means difference in interpretation. So he's basically the first one to highlight means those case law even in the TMI also. And if you see in terms of exposure to these CS professionals, it is tremendous as of now. Because if you see on a yearly basis, even on a monthly or daily basis, taxpayer base is getting widened, and there are very less professionals as of now. So opportunities are immense. They can set up their own GST Suvidha Kendra centers, file returns for multiple tax assessees. Even they can go for GST practitioners. Because if you see, so what we have come across with, our members have taken various the GST practitioner certificates also. So scope is enormous. So yes, Vimalji.
See, I can tell you 3 important pointers to all the professionals, those who are watching now. It's the last opportunity. I started with the first and last opportunity to answer the query. First one, we are no less than any other profession. We are no less than. We are at par with them or better them. Have confidence. Second, Institute is doing a lot of initiative on handholding on GST. Institute is doing their part, certificate course, GST journal, chartered secretary, inviting members and a student to participate, and even as a part of co-curriculum for the CSS student as well. So Institute is doing their part, but now we have to look at, are we participating? Second point. See, nothing comes on a platter. We have to grasp it. Opportunity knocking at our door, we have to grasp this opportunity. None is going to, give me on platter and saying that, "Lo, you please take it. It is for you." Had it been possible, then we would have been master of all the subject matter. No, we have to put in our time, effort, sincere efforts. Connecting this topic, of course, Institute is doing many activities. Be as a professional, because hardcore GST, I'm only doing GST. Believe me, I'm not doing any kind of finance, accounts, audit, bank audit, no legal, no secretarial. But if you post some query to me pertaining to all these areas, at least I will be able to answer. But if you talk GST from any corner, A to Z, I really, I can bet you that I will give you the reply. You can always be connected with Bimal Jain or any other professional to whom you're liking it, through YouTube, through social media, through any kind of, Twitter, LinkedIn, Tema, so many things, lot of videos, lot of news articles we are posting alongside ICSI. So we are really sabka saath, sabka biswas. So I'm saying that come forward and grab the opportunity. When we come together, we can grow together. And third and foremost, we have to identify. And somebody asked me, why GST important? Young professional, those who are passing out or those who are going to be company secretary in time to come, I can tell you only one thing. Identify a core area where you are having interest, your passion to do that. Look at, we won this T20 World Cup. And you can listen the speeches of all legend, starting from Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma. Why I'm picking up them in our profession? I'm saying that we have to be master on the subject matter. Of course, if we are brave, God will come forward to rescue us. And yes, at one point of time, we were about to lose. And we know the last 5 overs of T20. And we are watching again and again. Why? Because this has given win. And we become a World Cup champion. And after 13 years in T20, do something good with the passion. Rest, leave it to God. If you're loving subject matter, do it. Don't look at money part then. Whether I will be paid, whether I will be getting money. Believe me, today we are doing GST and enough revenue God has given to us. So when we create excellency, credibility, our intelligence means strength, core strength, things will fall back. Rest assured, I'm giving you the word to you. Rely on my word. That is how I started my career. To my all young CS professional, they can touch base, always write back to me. If needed, I will always be available. I'm using the I, sorry, we can say we. We would be available to help each other. And that is how I look at the career and look at the way we can help each other. And I always pick up this tagline of BJP, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. So let's, and Sabka Biswas. That is how we can grow together. So together we will make difference. Thanking once again. Handing over to you, sir.
To the end of this webinar, I once again thank Bimal Jain and Sanjay Malhotra for sharing your thought process on GST on the 7th anniversary of GST Day. It's an excellent presentation by both of you, and n number of recommendations, n number of observations based on out of your experience you have shared, what even GST Council has to look into for the benefit of all the stakeholders, whether it's the government or taxpayer, or maybe expanding the tax base as well. I once again thank both of you for that excellent presentation, and also the participants raising so many queries for their clarification. I thank you one and all. I thank you ICSI for hosting this particular webinar. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Vimalji.
Thank you.